What is that, you might ask? It's nothing but the sounds of the dopest podcast on God's green earth. We talking about Punkdemic. Jumping off, about to slap you across your noggin straight through your eardrums. Here comes some of the dopest and illifiderest stuff that you ever heard. I'm joined by the queen of everything, the lovely Amazon from Punkdemic LLC, Punkdemic Media Group LLC, and everything else we can add an LLC on. That's here. I'm really not fond of this music that was selected this week. It's irritating to me. Dance pop gets 2 thumbs down. I don't care very much for the background music today. And I'm MC Johnny T, also from Punkdemic Media Group and a bunch of other stuff too. Today we've got a real dope guest. We're going to jump into that in just a minute, but in traditional fashion. If you've tuned in once, you've tuned in 1,000 times for this part, and this is the part where I tell you to go out and buy our stuff. And I mean, not now, but right now. I need you to stop whatever it is that you are doing. I need you to head on over to punkdemic.net. I need you to get on that website. I need you to get your Punkdemic t-shirt, get your Punkdemic sweatshirt, hoodie. My chunky ladies out there, you can get yourself a little thick Demic gear as well. That's right. We got the thick Demic gear that's available in 'tis the season to dance around the Thickmas tree and wish you and yours a Merry Thickmas, because only at punkdemic.net can you get your official Thick Demic apparel. And I know a lot of you guys might be thinking, Thick Flair, it would figure that you would be the one to bring the Thick Demic to the Punkdemic, but you've got it all wrong. It wasn't even my idea. I went along with this one. You know who came up with this one? It wasn't our guest Floyd Strickland, but there's one other box. Amazon came up with the Thick Demic. Yeah, Merry Thickmas to all and to all.
It's a shirt. It's
it
not
is
as
a shirt.
dope as your art, Floyd, but it's pretty cute.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty
yeah.
cute.
So make sure you run on over there or hobble over there or whatever you do. Just get on over there to punkdemic.net. You can also check out previous episodes of our podcast in the archives. That's also in the podcast links on punkdemic.net. And without further ado, see, I kept it tame this time.
Thank you.
I didn't tell people to go to punkdemic.net, go to punkdemic.net, go to punkdemic.net over and over and over again. I didn't do that this time.
Good day.
Good. Man, you always kick me out. I can't stand when you do that.
See you later. Yeah. I still see you.
Mm-hmm. I forgot how to push the button. I really did.
Oh my God. Hi. So thank you for finally being able to talk to me.
No problem.
I try to run it like people don't know who you are, even though I know who you are, and there's tons of people that know who you are. Tell me a little bit about like where you're from. What else do I want to know after that? Where are you located? Where can we see some of your art? And we'll go from there.
I'm from Los Angeles. I grew up, I was born in Texas, but I was pretty much raised in Los Angeles. I was about 4 or 5 years old. So I'm from LA. I grew up in Watts and like the Compton area. So I've been out here pretty much my whole life. Besides, as an adult, I lived in a few other states just for a few years each, but I've been in LA for most of my life. And most of my work I show in LA too as well.
Have you shown any of it out of state anywhere?
Yeah, I got stuff out of state, shows and stuff not shows, but shows that I've been a part of. I haven't done any like solo shows out of state, but I've done like a few group shows where my work has gone into New York and Chicago a few times. But for the most part, the galleries that I show in are in LA.
And how long have you been painting, like professionally?
Professionally, just about 10, maybe about 8-9 years professionally.
Really?
But I've been painting, for drawing and painting and stuff like that for my whole life. Professionally, it's only been about 8-9 years. Because I mean, shoot, most artists got another job. You know what I mean? So I kind of count the years that, I start painting, I start drawing was on my whole life. Then I stopped in my like maybe late or early 20s, and I didn't do anything for about 10 years. And then I just started again, and when I like around my late 20s, early 30s, and I started painting and drawing again. So I had about a 10-year layoff where I didn't do any art, like nothing.
Wow.
So when I moved back to LA, that's when I started really getting back into art. Once when I left, I finished my master's, and I really got back into art.
No, I thought you were
Like
going to
I
say I've
went
been
to
painting
yeah,
75 years or something. Like, you're so good.
nah. Like when I was going to school, I didn't go to school for art at all. That's not what I went to school for. I went to school for something else. When I finished that, but I always kind of promised myself that I'd get back into the arts when I finished my master's. I didn't think it was gonna like take off like it did, but I promised myself like when I finish my master's, I'm getting back to doing something that I wanted to do when I was, since I was a kid, which is my art. So I got back into it. I kept my promise to myself when I finished my master's, and I finished my master's. I think I was like 28, something like that. So yeah, I got back into it around that time. Not really seriously until I got back to LA though.
So, so the children that you paint, these beautiful, beautiful children, are you making them up in your head, or are these children that
Some
you
of them,
know?
yeah,
Children.
like some of them, like so a lot of them is my kids, right? So I started off painting my kids a lot, and that was really out of necessity, just because I didn't really have any like models to paint and stuff like that when I was first starting off. So it was kind of out of necessity, and then it's a little easier now to get people to paint, but before it wasn't really that easy. So a lot of like the boxer series that I'm working on, a lot of that stuff is me just making stuff up, but a lot of it's based off like maybe photos of my son that I alter a little bit. So a lot of it is based off that, but for the most part, those I'm just kind of making them up. So the process really is I draw the image and I like create a digital like a digital reference for myself, and then I paint it from there.
This is going to sound random, and I'll get back to the boxer. How do you get the lip gloss to look like that on the gloss? Like, no, because I love art. Like, I'm huge.
That's actually kind of easy though. That's the funny part about it.
The shine. Like, I've never been able to get shine. Like
it's just white paint. It's just color. It's just color. It's just that's all. Everything is just color. So once you able to, well, I'm not gonna say it's easy. It's easy after you know how to see color. Once you see color and you can understand like how colors mix, and you can actually see it from the reference photo, it's kind of easy to get certain things in. So and sometimes I don't do that. I really render what I want the viewer to pay attention to. I think the particular paint you're talking about is one like the girl with the like white glasses.
Yes.
And so that particular one, I wanted to kind of focus on her features. So that's one of the things I thought was pretty dope, was just to make sure her lips pop, because I want to focus on like those African features that she had in that painting. So
beautiful, man.
Yeah, that's one reason for that. I really kind of went in on that. So because sometimes I wouldn't do that. Sometimes I just kind of leave it like if I think it's distracting from what I'm trying to say in the painting, I won't really go in on certain details. But that particular one, I thought because of the I wanted to leave the space in the background just kind of black, just avoid that. I need to make sure I render everything in the actual portrait pretty close to like hyper realism, even though I normally don't do that.
I noticed, and I was like, how? Like I was like, he's showing off now with this.
That's funny because I always can like I can paint hyper realistic. That's really not as hard as people think it is. It's really not. I think because a lot of times, and it's kind of like, well, I keep saying it's not hard. It's not hard for me to do it.
No,
I don't do it all the time because I don't know if it helps out the painting. It depends on what I'm painting, like, so if it's something that's just a figure, I might have it more realistic than something if I'm trying to like tell a story in a painting, then I don't think is really needed. I don't really think, I think some people think that like the the closer something looks to a portrait, the better the painting is. I don't really necessarily think that's true. So it depends on what, like, I can do it if certain areas I would render it pretty realistic, but it just depends on what I'm painting. That particular painting, I felt like I needed to do that. So that's why I did it on that one. But I wouldn't do that like every painting. Number one, it takes a little while longer to do that. And I just don't think every painting needs that level of detail. But that particular one, I thought for sure. I knew going in, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna probably go in on this one.
You did. You nailed it. I was like, oh my gosh, look at him showing off with these lips. Those lips. But no, so the boxers, do you just love boxing, or are you related to a boxer?
I mean, yeah, I do like boxing. Like, me and my father-in-law talk about boxing a lot. So I do like boxing. I think with those, it was more so I just wanted to, like, I was just telling somebody this over the weekend. Like, a friend of mine, one of my best friends growing up, his brother is actually a professional boxer. And I remember, he might not even remember this, but I remember, I'm pretty sure they do. But I remember him like running around, like saying he was going to be a boxer. And as like a real little kid. And I thought it was dope. Like, he had a tournament recently. And I just kind of thought it was dope that he like was able to live his dreams. And I'm in the same situation. Like, this is something I want to do since I was a little kid. So I was like, I am living my dream as well. And I understand, like, that's something that from where we grew up at, it was not a lot of people that was able to reach that level to where they said they was going to do something as a child and they got to do it as an adult. So it kind of started off as that, like, but this was a few years ago, actually, when I had the idea of like doing that, like a whole series of like little boys as boxers. I didn't do it though, because I didn't really know how it looked. I think the problem then was that I was doing too much in the backgrounds. Not in all my paint, but this particular paint, like all the drawings, it just didn't look right. And I was just the background's too busy. And it was in full color. It was just a different type of vibe to the painting. This particular series actually came out because I was renovating my space, my studio, and I had nowhere to paint. So I had to paint in the living room of my house. And I really didn't have good lighting in there, like lighting that you would need for actual studio, a functioning studio. And I had a very small space, so I couldn't use like the full color range that I would normally use in my paintings. So I basically had to mix a particular color, and I only had 3 colors basically. I had to do the whole painting with 3 different colors. So 3 different pigments. So that's basically what I did in the living room, because I was like, I gotta paint something. I'm gonna go bored. I can't just sit. I can't sit and just not do anything. I gotta do something. So I just got a cheap easel off a cheap small easel off of Amazon, and I just got close to a window and I start painting. I was like, let me just paint these pictures. I think I had a couple pictures that I just had laying around, so I just drew it and painted. It was like people loved it, and
they're beautiful.
When I finished the first one, I'm like, oh, okay. The problem with that I was having initially was that I was doing too much. I needed to strip some of the background off and just focus on the figure. And once I did that, I was like, okay, this is how this should look like. So I figured that part out. And then after that, it was just like, I was really just doing them, kind of leisurely, just while like I was getting a few things done for my studio. And it kind of took off from there. Like, people, I was like, this is dope. Like, I gotta, then people kept, wanting them. So I'm like, well, let me just make them. The thing is though, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I started laughing because when I thought about stuff I do leisurely, it looks like one of those the Hangman game sketches with the little stick figure. That would be my doing a drawing leisurely. So I'm like, I wish, you know what I mean? I wish that's what I did leisurely. That's ridiculous.
I mean, like I said, it is mostly me, like kind of painting, not necessarily necessity, but I just really wanted to do something. And once I kind of got the palette down, I used a similar palette with like a painting earlier, like maybe a month before I did the boxers. It was like a little boy getting his hair cut for the first time. like a real small painting. But it was a little bit different. So and the background was different, but that gave me kind of the idea of like, okay, this is how this should look. This is how this should look. So then I went back and I was like, okay, I'm about to do all the different ones. And I thought the round canvas was a good touch to it too as well.
Beautiful. Here's a question you probably have never heard. It's random as hell. How do you get, what colors do you blend to get that beautiful chocolate dark skin? I'm being real. Like what colors? I look at colors and I go, I wonder what he blended together to get that exact shade of beautiful brown. Listen, you see this? I'm very light
Yeah.
light black. Still black.
Yeah.
How do you get that beautiful dark?
I'm laughing because I get that question like all the time.
Oh man, I thought I was doing something. But yeah.
All the time. I get that question all the time.
No, you don't. You've never heard
Oh yeah, I get that question like once a week.
You know what? You don't know how this works. I'm supposed to astound you. You're supposed
Like
to be
for real,
man.
like I get a DM like once a week. Well, not just that though. It depends on like certain paintings. Like they're like, how you do that? And it's funny because when somebody asks me the question, I kind of never know how to answer it because it's always a different color. It really is always a different color. It's never the one pigment. Like it's hard to answer that because I can't give like this particular 3 colors to mix to get this pigment. Like
Red,
and honestly,
blues,
what happened?
Use reds or they're blues.
It's oranges, reds, and some blues, some browns. It really depends. It depends because of like somebody localized color and they're like the color like from a reflective light, it can be completely different. So like some paintings I use just complete red paint on the face and you wouldn't know, or sometimes it can be just purple. And it would, when you look at the paint, you really couldn't tell because that localized paint color is purple. So it really depends on the painting. But for the most part, I think the thing that I use that I don't know if a lot of artists use it. I use a lot of like red oxide and yellow oxide in my paint. So that's like a burnt. It's not a burnt sienna. It's not like a burnt brown color. It's like, I mean, I guess it is like that, but it's like way more pigmented. So it's like way more rich. And I use a lot of yellows and orange. So I use a lot of like cad oranges and a lot of yellows too. So a lot of the colors that look really brown are like really orange colors and yellow. So it just depends on. It's kind of hard to explain because when I'm looking at a paint, I can or a reference photo or somebody's picture, like even looking at your face, I can know what colors to instantly mix to get your skin tone. But it's hard to say, right off. It depends on what I'm looking at, basically.
Mm-hmm. No, I was going to say, I don't have hopes of getting an original, but I definitely want to get some prints. Like I love it so much. The one with the Black Panthers on it.
Yeah.
What inspired that one? And don't say Black Panthers.
Nah, it wasn't even that.
What inspired that?
I think that particular one, honestly, that was going to be the last paint I did with that skin tone, like that real that it's almost like a sepia. That was going to be the last one, but I don't know. I think when I was a lot of times I will be doing something random, like I can be driving or picking up my kids from school, and I would just kind of see an image in my head, and I'm like, that'd be a dope painting, and I'll write it down, or I put it in my notes in my phone, and I just kind of was, I don't know where I was at. I'm like, that'd be kind of a dope if I did that, like a profile, and I just painted it. So it wasn't like an inspiration. I just thought of it one day, like this kind of be dope. And once I thought it, when I did the initial drawing, I was like, it'd be dope if I had like Black Panthers like walking around her. Because afterwards, I was like, it's kind of like a Black Panther vibe. So I didn't add that to like afterwards. Like when I saw it, I was like, it's kind of like a Black Panther vibe. And I was like, it'd be dope if I added it around. So that just came like organically, honestly. I wasn't even like looking at a reference or anything with that. I just kind of just like, man, that'd be dope. So I just did. Sometimes that's literally what I do when I'm painting. I'll be painting something completely different. I'm like, oh, it'd be dope if I add this in, and I just add it in. All right, but like even when I have one with my son, it's my son, and he got like a Tuskegee shirt on, and he got the paper planes flying around. Like I added that in afterwards. Like, oh, that painting wasn't even supposed to be. I forget what it was. But I know I added the airplanes like at the end. I'm like, it'd be dope if I put airplanes up there, but that looked like little like paper. Matter of fact, I know exactly what it is. I saw that the Rock Nation hat somebody had on. I'm like, hey, I'd be dope if I had the paper planes flying around my kid head with, and that's how it came up. Like I had already the painting was pretty much already done. So sometimes it's just that. Like I saw somebody in the hat. I'm like, oh, that'd be dope. Like paper planes flying around their head.
And it did come out really good. No, I saw that one. I've watched. I kind of like looked at all the ones I could get my hands on. I was gonna ask where are you keeping my painting at?
Which one?
Where's the little girl with the Panthers on it? Where is she hung up at?
Oh, that's somewhere in my studio in here.
So you're just sitting in there. She's just over there in the corner sitting.
Well, honestly, that's probably gonna go. I'm doing something with a friend of mine where I'm gonna put some work up in this space, and I'm gonna probably put that one up in there too. So
she's over there in the corner waiting for me. Is what I'm trying to get at. You don't seem that attached to it or anything. So
that's funny, but it'll be up there for a month. I'll get it back. But yeah, that's probably I forgot about that thing. So you just said something. I forgot how you painted that. I forgot all about that painting.
See, okay, so forget about it again when we're done with this interview.
But you done with it?
I love her. She needs me very much. Like,
yeah, I forgot about that. I mean, I paint so much. I really paint all the time. Like that's what I do every day. I'll be back and just in my studio doing something. If I'm not painting, like I had to force myself to take like a few days off, and it was like miserable. But I was like, I have to take some time off.
If you put her on display, somebody's going to take my painting. So leave her
I don't
there.
think so.
Yes, she's beautiful. So we'll haggle after this.
All right.
I love her very much. She's attached. She told me, she was like, I want to come home with you. She told me that.
That's funny.
But did you ever like study art? You said you got a master's in something else. Did you take any classes coming up?
Not really. I was in art. I was like an art major for like a semester. And it's funny, I actually failed life drawing too.
No, you didn't.
I did. Well, it wasn't because I wasn't good. I just never went to class. So,
well, you can't pass if you don't show up.
I know. I never went to class. And I was like, oh, snap out to take that over. So yeah, I never went to class. But it was some like my sister passed away. So when that happened, I literally didn't go to class like after that. So yeah, I was like, I didn't really like the semester I was there. I just didn't learn nothing. It was like I didn't learn anything. And I just, that's just my experience, Other people probably have a different experience, but I learned more from my high school art teacher than in college, to be honest with you. So like I really didn't learn much. I really wasn't doing anything like that. It was really interesting or fun, or it was like, I remember one assignment we had to like get a shoebox and like get some type of trinkets from the house and like put a light on it and then draw the light and the shadow. I'm like, man, I was doing this and I was like 10. What is this? So I was just like, this is not something that and it was not what I thought it was going to be. I think I just had this idea from like movies or something how it was going to be, and it was like, this is whack. So, and around the time, I'm 40, so I thought, I didn't really know like the economy of art at the time, so I didn't know like, how how to even make money in that field. So I was like, well, I'm in college. I got a chance to make, get an education and get a pretty good job, and I'm gonna do that. So that's why I left. And I always loved art, but I just didn't really like art school. I didn't really like I didn't really like. Yeah, it was just stuff that I was doing on my own already, or I learned already. So it wasn't really anything interest in. I didn't really care what we were doing. It wasn't nothing that I think culture have a lot to do with it as well, because like culturally, it wasn't something that I resonated with the work we were doing. You know, it just wasn't really like, even like life drawing. It was like, a lot of older white ladies. So it was like I wasn't even really learning how to draw or paint people that look like me, that are, look like my family. So I really just didn't like it. So I left after one semester. I was out of there.
Still life, or you're like drawing an apple for like 4 hours?
Yeah, we did that. We had to do that too. I had to like do it in like
Yeah.
color pencil, and then do it in the oil paint, then do the same one in like a charcoal, then do the same. I'm like, this is like, I've been painting this apple all week. I'm straight.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Hey,
not even to hate on people that's doing still life, because it's some awesome still lives. But for me personally, because art is a personal thing, and I just didn't have any. I didn't have any interest in painting grapes.
I never got
Like
into the
in
grapes and
four,
apples.
yeah, 4 different mediums too. Like you gotta do a watercolor and try. Like I don't want to.
A vase.
I
Here's
was
a vase.
yeah, like I was.
Draw this vase. What?
Had to do all that. So I was, after one semester, I was like, this. I like art history though. That was the thing that I did enjoy, the art history, and that's something that I kept, doing on my own. Like I loved art history. And it's funny because I hear a lot. I think I don't know where. I think it was some random thing on online, and somebody was saying that somebody else had a similar experience, and it was like the only thing that they got out of art school was art history, and that's like the most important. I don't even know where I heard it from, but I agree. I definitely agree with it. Like that's how I felt as well.
Johnny, you had a question. I see you over there.
I'm just visiting. I'm just trying to catch part of the vibe. You know what I mean? I'm over here producing and moving screens around here. I'm an artist in my own right. Not with a paintbrush or pencil, but with this mouse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So, what did you end up majoring in? And then what was it that I can understand why the shift? Not really understanding the economics of art and what you could probably really do with an art degree. So what was it that you ended up majoring in?
I ended up, initially I was going to go to law school. So I ended up majoring in political science. And I, did the whole LSAT, passed. I did pretty good on that. Got into a few good good law schools. And I think I had an internship, and I was like, hell no, I don't want to do this. This ain't like Law and Order. Like, yeah, I was straight, you know what I mean? So I didn't even know it. And then how much it cost. Like when I was out of high school, I had a few different schools that I could go to, pretty good schools, and I didn't go because one was out of state tuition was crazy, and the other one just the tuition was crazy, and I was just like, man, that's why I never went to the school I went to Cal State Dominguez Hills out in Los Angeles and Carson, and one reason I went there because I'm like, man, I can work. I can, my mama don't have to take loans. My mom and my pops don't have to take loans from me. I can pay out of pocket, So I'm like, I don't want to take $100,000 loan to go, out of state. Like I'm straight. Like that just seemed crazy to me. So I was kind of always thinking like I don't want to finish school in debt. So when the art degree, I was like, man, how much this is going to cost? And what I'm gonna do when I really, because it's 2002. Like I don't know, we didn't have Instagram. I didn't, I could just like post something and somebody like, I want that. I didn't, I didn't know how to make a website. 2002. Like it was just a different time. Yeah. So if it was like now, it'd probably be different for me. But so somebody is like maybe 20, 21, 20, something like that now. I can see them like, oh, I'm going after that. But in 2002, like I did not see like any. I'm like, I don't know how to get into a gallery. I don't know. I don't see anybody like me in galleries. And I'm not, shitting on nobody art. But when I would go to galleries back then, it was like stuff that was like I don't even understand this. I mean, it was like I didn't, and that's, me when I'm 18, 19 years old, I really didn't understand abstract art. Now I understand it, but then I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, I don't know what this is, so it was one of the things where I was like, nah, I don't even do this, because around that time, like figurative art wasn't even really that big anymore. So I'm like, this is not what I do. So I'm like, I'm going a different route. But I was actually working for LAUSD at the time. And when I finished school, it was kind of like one of those things where I was like, damn, I don't know what I'm going to do, because I wanted to be an artist. And I'm like, that's not going to work. Like, I left art school. And then like I wanted to go to line. I'm like, realistically, I'm not going to finish this. Like, I know myself. I know I'm not going to finish that. So I'm not going to take out that much money to not finish something, So I just stayed work. I was working with LAUSD, and my thing was like, hey man, what was the top person, the director do? And what degree he got. So I literally just looked him up and just went and got all his degrees in the field I was working at the time. It was like maintenance operation, and I just start following. I don't even know who it was that no more, but I just start following what he was doing. And like he did that, I'm gonna do, because I'm like, shit, he make this much money. Oh, yeah, I can do that. So and that's how me and my friends was back. We were just like, man, we got a job, man. Forget this. We had 3-4 jobs. Like I was doing I was building. I had a job building like basically like a roadie. We would build like stages and stuff for concerts. We did all kinds of stuff. Yeah, we did all kinds of stuff. We was doing telemarketing jobs. I was doing all kinds of stuff. I didn't care. We had 3-4 jobs at the time. So, I was fixing people's computers, bootlegging video games at the
The hustle.
To do your arts,
that's what we was doing. Like, early 2000s, we like
the hustle.
Hey, let me burn those Xbox games for you. I got you. Like, we was doing all that at the time, So and so I just looked at this stuff. I'm about to do that. So I just took all the little heating and ventilation classes and the scheduling class, and I just started doing that stuff. And I really, it led me into a whole career that I had no idea I was going to get into. At some point, I started, I was in Memphis, like helping build schools, and I was doing all kind of stuff in construction. And it really started off as me just kind of following the people that was working above me, because I'm like, I'm not trying to go to school to not have a career, what I mean? So that was my whole point, at that point in my life. I was like, man, I got to make sure I have a career. I don't want to, I grew up in Watts. I'm like, bro, I'm not about to be like, and I'm proud of that, but I'm like, I'm not about to be like a failure. Because it's easy in certain areas. It's easy to kind of fall into like the environment. It's easy to kind of fall into the craziness that's going on. It's easy to kind of sit at home and not do nothing. I was like, I'm not. I saw a lot of my friends, and I saw a lot of people I grew up with kind of fall into those things, and I'm like, I'm not about to do that. So, that's one reason I was like, man, I'm just gonna work. That's
you gotta do something.
And
you gotta get something done.
And like ironically, I think that's why I do like when I was in Memphis, I actually really liked being in Memphis. I like the people I work with and stuff like that. It was boring as hell, but I mean it was, because like I've never been into a place that had weather, like real weather, like real seasons. You know what I mean? Like, well, we get weather, but real seasons, like snowing. I gotta stay in the house, like I gotta go get food because it's about to be ice on the road and we can't leave the house for like I've never been in that. I had never been in that. So that's one reason I got back into the arts, because like I was in the house, I was building like computers. Like I think I built because like I said, I can't be idle. So I like built the computer. I got a gang of aluminum and I was in the garage welding computer cases together, and I built like 3 computers from scratch. Like I built like all kinds of stuff. I was building stuff for my son at the time, doing all kinds of stuff. And then I was like, man, I'm about to buy some art supplies and start drawing. I start painting just in the garage in Memphis. And then the principal, one of the principals at the school, like, you know, dude, we were about the same age, so we were real cool. He was like, "Hey, Floyd, we doing some murals he could draw a little bit." So he's like, "We doing some murals at the school." I'm like, "Man, I'll come help because I really have nothing to do." So I go up there. He was like, "Hold up, man, you can paint good as hell." Like, what's this? I'm like, "Oh yeah, I can draw a little bit. I can paint a little bit." And they was like, "No, that ain't a little bit, man. That's a lot."
You always put that under your paintings. It was like, I drew this a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Let me explain to you what drawing a little bit looks like. Okay, you draw a stick and put a circle on it, and that's the head.
But, you know,
2 sticks for the arms.
I dabble in the arts a little bit, you know. But
that's what it goes under. I painted a little bit today. I was like, look at this stick figure. This is drawing a little bit. That's
so, you know, I would just, you know, I was helping them out, and that really, really kind of prompted me to get back into like art. I was like, man, you know, like I forgot how much fun this was for me, because at this point I hadn't painted in a decade almost. It was literally a decade almost since I had did any type of art. Like maybe a few sketches here and there, but like anything like serious, like stuff that I would never finish. Like I start drawing like an eye or something, or it just, you know, just because I'm idle or something, I would never finish it. Or I'm in a meeting supposed to be taking notes and I'm, you know, sketching the picture of me or some shit out. You know, it was never nothing serious, but that was the first time I kind of started doing things like more seriously. And I was like, oh, I forgot how fun this was for me. And that's really what prompted me to start working again.
Now I was gonna ask, who are some artists that you love? Who are some artists that influenced you?
My favorite artist, probably ever is Aaron Douglas. I think anybody who follow my work can see a lot of his influence in my art. I like a lot of the Harlem Renaissance artists, which is funny because I don't think I paint anything like any of them. But like growing up, those were the artists that, like, you know, I was introduced to. My mom's had like prints of some of the work. Like some, you know, everybody moms had like Ernie Barnes prints and stuff in the house and stuff like. Well, not everybody, but a lot of us, you know. So stuff like that. Like I was really, really, really influenced by that growing up. You know, the art that my mom had on the wall, and then most of it was like Harlem Renaissance artists. So, like, my favorite is Aaron Douglas. That's definitely my favorite artist. Contemporary artists like. I like Kevin Williams. Kevin A. Williams. I grew up. My mom's had some of his stuff as well. He's a really, really dope painter. I can't never remember. I get this question. I always blank on people's name.
You're like Floyd
I'm terrible with that.
I like Floyd Strickland. He could draw a little bit.
I'm all right. But you know, just like I said, a lot of his art history, like even some of like the really old masters like Tiepolo. Like I'm trying not to mention people that I'm trying to mention people that people might not may know, because I don't know if anybody knows who Tiepolo is, or like well, everybody knows who John Cena or Senior Sergeant is, like Sergeant. You know, stuff like that. Like I like that period art. Early on, I think my art was really heavily influenced on like some what they call the old masters. But I kind of stepped away for that because it was boring, you know. So
you're like, because it was boring.
It was lit. Sometimes it's boring, you know. Sometimes it's not that it's boring. It's just that it's kind of been done a lot. So you don't want to really stay in one spot where that's been done a lot, you know. So I try, unless it's something like completely different. That's a different spin on it, which a few artists have that, but like I really did operate in that space too long. That was really when I was kind of starting off, and I wanted to get back into like figurative painting. So I mean, the easiest way to get back and to kind of relearn, because I hadn't painted in so long, a lot of stuff I had to relearn, is to just like do master copies and kind of, you know, do those things early on so you can figure out, you know, relearn some of the stuff, kind of get back into the habit of certain things. And so early on, I think I if you look at some of my really, really early work, you would see those influences.
Is there some things you're working on now? Any exhibits coming up? Art
Nah,
shows?
I don't. Last year I did like 2 solo shows. Like, well, in a calendar year I did almost 3, so it was too much. It was, so this right now I was kind of, I'm really more focused on like figuring out what I'm gonna do next, like the series of work I'm gonna do next, the body of work I'm gonna do next. I don't really want to jump into shows. I got a few like group shows that I'll be doing next year, but I don't even really have dates or nothing like that for that. But yet, but so I've really been kind of selfish with my time right now to just to figure out what I want to do next. I don't want to be working on, you know, solo shows or doing a lot of. I don't really like doing a lot of those shows anyway. A lot of group shows, solo shows, okay, but even then, I don't really like to do a lot of them. But I definitely don't like to just jump in a lot of group shows. Like that's not something I like to do.
So how does somebody get a hold of your art? Like, I just
Honestly, the
see
easiest
you
way,
post
because
it, and I'm like, hey, how do
the
you?
easiest way is Instagram. Like Instagram, and you can go to my website too, which is floydstrickland.com. But Instagram, like I'm pretty active on Instagram. I try to reply to comments. I try to reply to people that DM me. I try to reply when I can. Sometimes I can't, but even if I don't reply immediately, I usually get back to people just because like it's kind of weird because I don't think that like even it's still weird when people want to interview me. Like I still find that weird. I'm like, huh? Why? I
Because
paint a
it's
little bit.
good. Because it's good. I just paint a
So
little bit. Yeah.
yeah, so when people want to talk to me, I always like, man, I'm just kind of, so um that's the easy way. But I do try to, because a lot of people have questions like about process, and I know when I was like kind of starting back up, I would have questions, and it wasn't always easy to get other like artists to talk to you about those questions or about to share certain information. So I don't see why I shouldn't. So when people ask me, I usually always try to give them an answer and always try to help them out because I don't know, maybe people think it's a competition thing, but I really don't. I think people who want to learn how to work and want to learn how to paint or I think everybody should have like access to some type of information. So like I always say, if people hit me up, I'm usually trying to answer, but unfortunately a lot of artists is lazy as hell, so even if you give them an answer, they're not gonna do it. They are. I be like, man, y'all don't work hard enough, man. Like y'all don't work hard enough. Like so, and I tell people that too. I'm like, man, you just don't paint enough. You got to just do it every day, So, but that's the easiest way. If anybody want to ever contact me about anything, even like purchasing some of my work, it'd be easier to contact me directly or contact any of the galleries that does have my work. Right now, Think Space have some of my work, and Art Angels have some of my work. So
I like
those
Art
are two
Angels.
galleries that. Pardon me?
I like Art Angels. I like Art
Oh
Angels.
yeah, they super cool. Well,
They
the
have
Think
some
Space
really
super
nice
cool too.
stuff.
I like both spaces. So they have a few things. And I haven't shown in. It's been actually I had a solo show earlier this year. I don't know why I keep forgetting that at Think Space. So they have a few of my paintings, not too many, and Art Angels probably only have a couple at this point. But those are the two places that if you want to, um, any of my originals and stuff like that, those are two places that you might want to contact.
Okay. No, I just when you always mention artists painting people that look like you or look like us, I should say. And my first influences were like the impressionist artists, the old school traditional.
Yep.
And I still was fascinated, still wanted to know how they got certain colors and certain shades and you learn things about like lighting and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. But no, there were no paintings that I saw when I was coming up and getting into art that looked like me, that looked like my family or anything like that. So when I came across you, I was like, oh my goodness, like you use the color and just, you made it look really easy. It's ridiculous how easy you make it look. I know that it's not because I've tried and failed. Uh, couldn't even
it,
do the little apple drawing. You know what I mean?
it's not
I
easy,
appreciate it.
but it's just repetition, and that's really what it is. It's repetition. So once I get the repetition in, and once I, um, you know, it's really about seeing. To me, it's about. I keep it simple. It's about seeing shapes and seeing colors. If you can see shapes and colors, and you can kind of replicate what you're seeing, you know, and I keep it pretty simple when it comes to like figuring out like when I'm doing shapes and colors. Everything is just a color, and is how that color plays with the colors are surrounded it. So I that's all really I try to do to keep it simple.
It doesn't come out simple. It comes out looking like you spent.
And it's a lot of it is time too. You got the time to do it, early on. Luckily, I had a few pretty good jobs that were like I was working from home way before the pandemic. I was working from home like 10 years ago. So I was able to like really spend a lot of time that I probably shouldn't have been spending painting. When I'm in a meeting and I got the phone on mute and I'm over here, drawing or something, painting. So, luckily I was able to have that time to really kind of perfect my craft. And I really care about that. It's something I really, really care about. I look at it like a friend of mine, one of my best friends, he be talking basketball. He said, man, you like, when it comes to art, you like Kobe, like you're obsessed with it. I'm like, I'm obsessed with making sure that what I'm doing is the best I can do. I mean? Like, that's what I that's how I am. Like, if it's me up to 2:00 in the morning sometimes and then waking up at 4, I've done that before too. A lot of times, like, if it's me, somebody be like, hey, Floyd, you think you get this paint done by Saturday? I'll be like, well, it probably take 35 hours to paint this, 40 hours. I'm like, yeah, I can do it in 3 days, and I will probably be up for like 2.5 days doing it. Like, I do stuff like that, which I probably shouldn't, but I really care about how the painting looks like, and that's I think one reason I don't really show myself too much online, because I want it to be about the art. I don't really want it to be like, I don't want people to like my work because they think I'm a cool person.
Right.
I mean, I don't want people to be like, oh, he's really cool. He's this, and this. All right. And I don't really have, and it's kind of hard for me to even have that like artistic, that the artist persona that you see sometimes. Like, I don't know, I do that. Like, I'd be like, I grew up with the projects. I have no idea what none of this means. You know what I mean? So, I'm always myself. So it has to be the art for me. It has to be what I'm doing that matters, not necessarily the fact that. So even if I'm painting and I show videos of me painting, it's just my hand, you see. It's not I'm not showing my whole. It's literally just the art, and I try to keep it about the art because that's what's important to me, and that's what I want people to see. I want people to be able to get certain things out the art. I don't want to influence anything about it. That's why I don't even really have like captions under the paintings. Like, I want you to get from the art what you get from it. I don't want to like lead you into something. I don't want to lead you into like this means that. So, I want you to, that even sometimes when I have my shows, it'd be times people don't even know I'm the artist, and I sit and listen to them what they think about the work, and I'd be like, oh shit, that was, I didn't even mean that, but I'm about to use that one. I didn't mean that at all, but that was a good, that's shit. I see it now. Dang it, I painted it, so like, dang, that is kind of dope over there, so that's why I do that though. That's why I am like that on like my online presence, and that's why I don't really show myself too much online. I really want to keep it about the art.
Well, we're coming to that point where we got to put a bow on this one.
All right.
This has actually been a very interesting, dude. I call this really an education more than I call this than I call this an interview, or more than I call this in the traditional sense a podcast episode. Like, dude, this was actually a a great education, because art is so much a part of our culture, and in so many ways we miss it because we're exposed to it in so many different ways, and sometimes we don't have the ability to understand really everything that goes into art. And I mean, I'm talking from just the traditional space and art, not digital arts, not here's an app, remove the background, like not Canva. No knock on any of that, but fine arts, it's a space for a selected few who do really well with it, and and a lot of the people who can create something great never have a great platform for it. So I really appreciate you taking some time to share a little bit about your process, a little bit, even some of the color theory and how you come up with that, as Amazon alluded to, that chocolate brown chocolate, beautiful, the color tones that you come up with for some of your pieces. I mean, I feel like I can really appreciate the fact that you took some time to share about that, and I'm sure our listeners as well. Not enough time, but I guess the thing is to leave people wanting more. I mean, I'm fully engaged, and then I think the other thing that my takeaway that I respect is that you made economic decisions in spaces where you needed to, but you also made passion choices in an appropriate space as well too. It's 2024, man. People can't be going homeless for the art anymore.
That other stuff is dead, man. Forget all that.
You can't be doing that anymore. It's not a rite of passage anymore. These days, it's just dumb, But in 2002, 2004, and we were, just on the precipice of this thing called social media, and no one knew that this was going to be a vehicle to conduct real commerce with. And, we always heard that we were going to be a connected world and we're going to all be able to communicate with each other through these computers. And it's the future. And it's the future. Well, shit, the future came and we had no idea how much it would really impact things. So, arts person myself, not so much the fine arts, but that tug of war, having to figure out what you're going to do in college. I remember I was sitting in front of McCarthy Hall at Cal State Fullerton, and I had no other general ed classes to go to. And I was like, what the hell am I going to do now? I just sitting in that panic, but knowing I had to do something. Mm-hmm. And so, and what I really wanted to do was like, man, I want to quit school and go be a rapper. I was part of that 90s formula. Like, man, I want to be a rapper. That's funny. And moms was not hearing it, and moms was not having that. So, you growing up in Watts, I mean, off of Central and 137 Compton, right on the other side of
you're right there. You down the street from me. I was
you took Central right on up to Dominguez.
Yeah, I was on Central. Yeah, I was right by Nickerson's. So you right.
Boom. There it is. My uncle went to Verbum Day in the 80s, so right around the way. So totally connected to where you were coming from and all of that kind of stuff. Only difference between Compton and Watts was El Segundo.
That's it.
That was it.
Crossover cross street. That's it.
Yeah. And we weren't trying to cross it until they put the 105 there. Mm-hmm. And then once the 105 got there, I was like, yeah, we going up. So anyway, I get that. And I think there's a lot of artists out there, they struggle with that too. You just knew you just couldn't be broken. You were intrinsically motivated. Like, I'm not about to go out like the rest, like but like some of my friends out here in Watts, and you're intelligent enough to not have to. So if you could offer any advice to anyone that pursuing anything in the arts, whether it's fine arts, whether it's acting, whether it's a smoking hot OnlyFans page, whatever the content might be, and I'm just throwing that out there.
You're doing so well. You went the whole. Okay, you know what? Never mind. Go ahead and answer the question.
Those are, dude. their content creators. Artists are creators.
Yeah.
What would be one thing that you would say that they should do so they can not feel like, all this time I'm at a job is taken away from my art, but then all this time I'm doing the art is keeping me from making the money. What would you say they would need to do to find that balance?
Well, I mean, shit. I think you just got to make sure if you got a 9 to 5 and you really want to be like an artist, you really have to, take the time to work on your whatever your craft is, And I think the thing I tell most people is just to paint and create the thing, not just paint, but create the things that reflect who you are, and not try to paint things that you think will sell or create things that you think will sell. Somebody told me a long time ago that the best, art is, about, your experiences, because you are the individual, So I think that's the thing I will probably tell people, like don't try to replicate something else. Just try to create something that from you that's yours, So
Great advice. I completely subscribe to that. Y'all have been a great guest. We talked a little bit about, a little selfish with the time, not really any gallery exhibitions
I don't have
coming
nothing.
up too much.
I wish I did. I wait, because it'd be awesome to be like, I'll go to my show next Saturday, but I really don't right now.
Okay, well then, what can we expect to see coming in 2025? Date of this recording, we are November the 4th, which is different than the day that this episode will go live. So looking futuristically to 2025.
I will have, most likely I will have some shows. We'll be a part of some shows, definitely, probably at Think Space. I think they have a 20th anniversary show, and I was asked to be a part of that. So I'll probably have a couple big paintings there that I'm still working on now. So if you want to see any, like I haven't really did large scale work in about a year or two. So I have 2 large scale paintings there that I'm working on, and I probably have a few other group shows that I'll be doing with them next year, most likely, if they ask me, if they have me. So usually they do. So I'll probably do something with them.
Okay. And one more time, how can people connect with you
Just
on the internet?
My Instagram, the easiest way, and my website. My Instagram is just my name, Floyd Strickland, and type that in the search bar, and it's me holding my daughter, and that'll be me.
There it is. Boom. Ladies and gentlemen, Floyd Strickland, put your hands together. We don't have any real sound effects for real applause yet, but we're working on that for next season. we're working on it.
Yeah.
This one was better than worthy of those DJ horns. So we didn't hit you with that.
What he usually does. It's terrible.
That's funny.
Yeah, we didn't hit you with one of those.
Thank
you
so much. Like
of course.
I called him immediately. It's like, you don't even want to know. Like, I was all jazzed about it. I said jazzed. I'm getting older. I'm like, might turn 30 this year. But I was really, really excited to have you on. I love what you're doing. And I wanted to thank you again for taking the time, because you're like, who are you? You could have been like, I don't know you.
Nah, I did a couple podcasts so far. It's always, I always be like, oh, I'm happy people want to talk to me. Because the thing about it, I usually don't talk too much, but when they talk about art, I probably talk too much about it. I'm not a big talker in public, but art, I get the run of my mouth. So
I appreciate you running it with us.
Yeah, so
I'll be definitely like the painting sometime next week. I'll just swoop on by and pick that up. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
Which one you say? Whichever one. You just have it ready, and I'll come on and give it a good home.
Yeah, that's funny.
Helping you.
No, we gotta have you back on here in 25, man. We gotta have you back on here.
Just reach out to me. I'll definitely do it. Usually, like I said, I always try to I think I have had I think this is my 3rd time doing a podcast. So I always try if I got the time, and usually I can make the time. An hour, I got it. I got y'all. So anything you just let me know.
Thank you.
And then you let us know, man, when you've got stuff coming up and you got links that we
Okay.
can share with people. If we can get people,
Yeah, I wish I did.
some of your when the time comes when some of your stuff comes through,
Yeah.
you can hit us up in a couple months, 3 months,
Yeah.
5 months, 6 months, and one thing we really pride ourselves on, we try to be cheerleaders for our guests as well
Yeah.
too. So people hit us up, and as they have events and stuff going on, we really make sure that we're sharing that with people as well too. So when your time comes, whenever that is, you're good with us.
Absolutely.
All right, we got you.
All right, for sure. I appreciate you guys on that. I
All
wish I had
right.
something now. I'm like, dang, I wish I was doing something. Now I feel like
Look,
I ain't doing that.
oh, dude, you're doing just
You
as
do
some,
a lot. What do you mean?
dude, sometimes you have this. You might be under the impression that you may not have like an event scheduled, or you may feel like you have nothing going on, and sometimes nothing is a whole lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes you said that you were challenged a lot when you forced yourself to sit away from art for a window of time, but I bet you when you came back to it, I mean, even just after a couple of days earlier in this interview, you were saying it was tough to sit out those 3 or 4 days, and when you came back to it, though, you were probably beasting it harder than you would have without the break.
That's
So
usually how it is. That's usually how it is. Usually I'll be like, man, I'll be like, man, I'm about to be up to like 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And I'm like, let me take my ass to sleep because tomorrow I'm gonna do like, I'll be paid for 10 hours and I'll probably only do like 3 hours worth of work because I got 2 hours of sleep. So a lot of times, like I've been forcing really what it is though is because like, man, I'm getting a little older now. So it's like, shit, I can't do that no more. Like when I
oh
was
yeah.
20, 30 years old, I'll be good off 3 hours of sleep. Now it's like, man, this ain't I
I
can't do
need a
this no
nap.
more. For real.
Mhm.
I'm like, shit, I can't do this. So that's
Mhm.
really I'm like now I'm like, man, I just turned 40 a couple months ago, and I was like, man, I can't do that no more. Let me start taking my ass to sleep at a decent hour.
When did you turn 40? When's your birthday, bro?
June 29th.
June 29th.
Hey,
Hey,
June
hey.
19th.
Oh,
Juneteenth.
okay. You said the 9th,
Yeah.
June 19th?
Juneteenth is my birthday. Yeah.
Okay, dang, yeah.
Yeah. July. Hey, I feel like that's the cancer gang up in here. That's what's
Yeah.
happening. That's why everybody's understanding each other. That's
Man,
why
that's
everyone's
crazy.
understanding each other.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
crazy.
All right. Well,
Well,
we're
we'll see
running
you
into
soon.
Punkdemics overtime, so we're getting ready to pull the plug on this one. We don't have a pretty
Okay.
way to. We don't have a pretty way to stop it, so we're just gonna push the button, and we'll see you next time. Thanks
All right,
again
for
for
sure.
swinging by, Floyd, and everybody connect with Floyd Strickland again on the IG, floydstrickland.com. Support this brother. Support this brother. He's talented. He's the man. 50-gram paintbrush in his hand. Don't sleep. Well, you should sleep. We all
Nah,
need to get
honestly,
we all need to get our sleep out. But
yeah, for
but
sure.
but on as far as the artwork goes, people don't sleep on this man's talent, man. It's a gift. Thanks for blessing us with your time. Until next time, keep America beautiful, folks. Get out there and vote today, tomorrow. Well, but by the time this airs, the election's over.
Yeah, for real.
Nah, never mind. Well,
Okay.
vote next time. Go vote next time if you didn't.
All right.
All right, we
Bye.
out of here. Peace. That's right, I did that. 1992. That's the way you ended stuff in the early 90s. You said, I'm out of here. Peace.